Hello, this is Susan Poss, and I'm still working in section 3.4, solving inequalities, where we get an infinite number of solutions. We're going to be solving and putting it in inequality form, in graphed form on the number line, and then in interval notation. So let's get started on these. Let me put in the dotted line here to delineate left side from right side. This one has variables scattered on both sides of the inequality. So I think I'll begin by adding 8x to both sides. So that will give me 3. A positive 1x is greater than or equal to 10 on the right-hand side. Now, further, to isolate the variable x, I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. And now I have x greater than or equal to 7. I don't have to reverse the inequality because I did not ever multiply or divide by anything that was negative. So there's our first form of the answer. That's called the inequality form. So let's say this is the 7. We want all of the values that are greater than 7. And we also want to include the 7 because it says greater than or equal to 7. So that's the way the graph looks on the number line. And then to get it into interval notation, you pretty much just copy what you see on the number line, always using parentheses for the infinity symbol. Let me scroll down here. We'll try another one. Again, here is the inequality symbol, so that's what identifies left side and right side of the inequality. I'm going to begin this when I see some distribution that needs to take place here. So for just a minute, I'm going to copy the left-hand side, distribute the 3, and then let me take a look and see what I want to do next. So I see that I have variables scattered on both sides of the inequality, so I think I'll begin here by adding 3x to both sides. That will give me a negative 4x plus 4 greater than 12. All right, so the next thing I want to do to get these constant terms together is to subtract 4 from both sides. And be careful right here because I can see that my next step is going to require that I divide by a negative 4. So when I come in here, let me change the color. When I come in here and divide by negative 4 on the left and divide by negative 4 on the right, I hope you remember what happens here. Let me go up here. So this gives me the positive x that I was looking for. On the left side, it gives me a negative 2 on the right side. And remember, this is where the inequality has to reverse. So what was and is greater than now becomes and is less than. And the reason is because I divided through the inequality with a negative number. So I want to show you all the numbers that are less than negative 2. So let's say this is negative 2 right here. The numbers that are less than negative 2 fall down here to the left of negative 2 and go all the way down to negative infinity. Since this does not include the negative 2, I will put parentheses facing toward the numbers. And finally, to put it into interval notation, you just basically copy what you see on the graph. All right, so I want to work with one more with you before I leave this. Again, this is the line that shows me the left side from the right side of the inequality. I see a distribution that needs to take place here, so I'll be using the distributive property. I see that again over here. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and multiply that using that distributive property. And let me take just a second to double check my signs. I was talking and not sure I was paying 100% attention to my signs. All right, so that looks good. So on the left-hand side of the inequality, I see some like terms, and on the right-hand side, I see some like terms. So we had talked earlier when we were working on equations back in chapter 2, how it was always a good idea to compress or combine terms on the left side to make it shorter on the left, or do the same combine on the right side to make it shorter on the right. So you can see now I've shortened it up a little bit. All right, so it looks like the next thing I'd like to do, and of course there are several steps you could do there that would be correct. And then I'm going to add this 14 to both sides so that I can get all the constant terms together on one side. What is that? 14, 24, 34, 18, negative 18, I think. Yeah, that looks right. Right, so again, be careful here when you come to this division step. I'm dividing by a positive number this time, so no reversal on the inequality. It only reverses when you divide or multiply by a negative quantity. So this is going to be x, this is going to remain less than or equal to, and I think I'll just reduce this down to 9 over 2, negative 9 over 2. Now, in order to put this on a number line, you might need to think through the fact that negative 9 over 2 is the same as negative 4 and 1/2. So let's see, if this is 0, this is negative 1, this is negative 2, this is negative 3, this is negative 4, this is negative 5. So negative 4 and 1/2 would be right about there. Okay, so I want to show you the values that are less than that. So I'm going down in this direction, down to negative infinity. And I am supposed to include that negative 4/2 because it's or equal to. So let me put a bracket there facing towards the numbers. And finally, let's see if I can squeeze it in here. In interval notation, remember for infinity you always use the parentheses, and then we're coming up to negative 4 and 1/2, or of course you could write that negative 9/2. Both of those would be correct.